Hello there, Eagles. You are flipping in fifth with me, Mrs. G. Today we're talking about Topic 15, Lesson 5, and today's learning target is, I can sort a variety of quadrilaterals to develop a family tree of quadrilaterals. In other words, I can tell how all of these shapes are related. Here is the quadrilateral tree that I want you to pause this video so that you can write it down. It's very important that you not only write down the shape, that you write down the name, and that you write down the interesting things about that shape that help you to classify it. So for instance, we're going to start with a quadrilateral on top. A quadrilateral is a shape with four sides because quad means four. Now down coming below this to the left would be a trapezoid, and a trapezoid has one pair of parallel sides. So in this shape it would be the parallel sides would be the top and the bottom. Then coming to the right of the quadrilateral is a parallelogram. This parallelogram just tells us that two pairs of parallel sides are what you have to have common in all parallelograms. So here the top and the bottom are parallel, and the left side and the right side are parallel. Now coming from the parallelogram, we have to the left a rhombus. A rhombus has two pairs of parallel sides and congruent sides. Remember, congruent just as a fancy finger word for equal. And then to the right of the parallelogram, we have a rectangle. And that tells us that all rectangles have two pairs of parallel sides and right angles. So here we have the two parallel sides, but each of these is a right angle, which means it measures 90 degrees. Now, coming from both the rectangle and the rhombus is a square. A square has two pairs of parallel sides, right angles, and congruent or equal sides. So here we have the parallel sides. Here we have four right angles, which is 90-degree angles, and each side is equal. So this quadrilateral tree can tell us a lot of interesting information. Why are quadrilaterals on top? Well, that's because all figures with four sides belong to the quadrilateral family. So all of these figures down below are quadrilaterals because they all have four sides. What else does this family tree tell us? Well, it tells us that all squares are rectangles. It tells us that all rectangles are parallelograms. And it tells us that all parallelograms are quadrilaterals. See why this is handy? It also tells us that all rhombuses are parallelograms, and we already know that all parallelograms are quadrilaterals. And last, it tells us that all trapezoids are quadrilaterals. Now it's your turn to try. Here are tonight's practice problems. In problems 1 through 3, I just want you to answer whether the statement is true or false. So number 1, are all rectangles squares? Number 2, every rhombus is a parallelogram. And number 3, parallelograms are special rectangles. Go ahead and take a look at your family tree that we created and answer these questions true or false. Then answer number 4 and number 5. Go ahead and pause your video and come back when you're ready for the answers. Coming back in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, the answer to number 1 is false. All rectangles are not squares. All squares are rectangles, but all rectangles are not squares. Number 2, every rhombus is a parallelogram. That is true. And number 3, parallelograms are special rectangles, and that is false. What properties does this shape have, and why is it not a parallelogram? Well, first of all, this is called a kite, not just because it looks like a kite, but this is the shape of a kite. And it is a quadrilateral because it has 1, 2, 3, 4 sides to it, but it has two sets of equal non-parallel lines. So they're equal, they're congruent in length, but they're not parallel. And parallelograms have to have two pairs of equal parallel sides. That's why this is not a parallelogram. And number 5, classify this polygon using as many names as possible. This is, of course, a quadrilateral, a parallelogram, and a rectangle. Okay, make sure you checked your work and you wrote how many you got correct out of this should be 5. Be honest, it's not for grade. Honestly, fill out that self-reflection. Could you teach a friend, or are you still confused? And fill in the space for any questions you still have. I hope you enjoyed learning all about these plane figures and are ready for your test. See you soon. Bye-bye.